Why did Israel launch its final ground invasion of Gaza while millions of civilians remain trapped in the city? The Israeli ground invasion of Gaza City on September 15, 2025 represents a marked departure from previous offensives in both its ambition and execution. Unlike past operations that primarily aim to weaken the Gaza militants' military capabilities or target specific infrastructure, this campaign is openly focused on the complete seizure and control of Gaza City. Israeli officials have made it clear that their objective is not only to defeat the militants militarily, but also to establish a long-term presence and dominance over the entire city, signaling a strategic shift toward full occupation. What sets this offensive apart is also its unparalleled scale. Israel has mobilized between 60,000 and 80,000 reservists, the largest deployment in the history of the Gaza conflict. This massive troop buildup indicates plans for a sustained, intensive campaign over an extended period, contrasting sharply with previous incursions, which involved fewer ground forces and were generally shorter in duration. This is unprecedented since they have mobilized a massive armored tank force even larger with a particular concentration on Deir al-Balah. The military has cited several reasons, both official and implied, for this renewed offensive. One of the main goals is to dismantle what remains of Hamas's military infrastructure. According to Israeli military officials, the operation targets areas where the Israeli Defense Forces have not yet conducted ground invasions, in an effort to eliminate the group's remaining capabilities. Another key objective is to expand the territory under Israeli control. Deir al-Balah, until now largely untouched by ground forces, is being targeted as the IDF looks to establish a broader presence in central Gaza. The area had previously been avoided due to concerns that hostages were being held there. The hostage situation has played a significant role in shaping Israel's strategy. Earlier reluctance to enter certain regions stemmed from intelligence suggesting that Hamas was keeping hostages in those areas. But with ceasefire negotiations and hostage talks currently at a standstill, Israel has shifted tactics, ramping up its military pressure in hopes of breaking the deadlock. Israeli officials also argue that these actions are necessary to prevent a resurgence of Hamas. They believe that if fighters and infrastructure are allowed to remain intact, the group could regroup and continue to pose serious threats to Israeli civilians. As of July 2025, reports estimate that at least 58,895 Palestinians lost their lives, with some sources suggesting over 62,000 deaths from direct and indirect causes. In Israel, about 1,139 people, mostly civilians including women and children, lost their lives during and shortly after the October 7 attacks. Initial estimates were higher but were revised following identification efforts. But why Israel is launching a second ground invasion after bombarding Gaza for several months after the October 7 attack? The goal was clear: revenge and the dismantling of the militant group. But despite their relentless bombardment, Hamas is still fighting. Here's how their strategy has shifted. The militant group has moved away from traditional battlefield tactics and embraced a decentralized insurgent style of warfare. With many of its top commanders killed and its command centers destroyed, the group now relies on small, autonomous units operating independently. These compartmentalized cells are much harder for Israeli forces to detect and eliminate, allowing for a more agile and unpredictable approach. Guerrilla tactics have become the new standard. Ambushes, sniper fire, IED attacks, and hit-and-run raids are now their primary methods of engagement. Rather than engaging in direct confrontations, these units use Gaza's dense urban landscape to strike Israeli forces and quickly disappear before a counterattack can be launched. This decentralized structure not only keeps operations going, but also ensures that even if senior leaders are lost, the group can continue to wage its fight on multiple fronts. The attack is characterized by the systematic destruction of urban areas, with entire residential blocks being demolished in a block-by-block fashion. This demolition is carried out using advanced methods, including remote-controlled explosive-laden vehicles. The way they work is that soldiers control these vehicles remotely, steering them into specific buildings, tunnels, or other targets associated with militants. Once the vehicle reaches its designated spot, the operator remotely detonates the explosives carried on board. This controlled explosion causes significant destruction to the target area, such as collapsing buildings or tunnels, without putting soldiers at risk in close-quarters combat or demolition operations. These vehicles are designed to navigate through narrow urban spaces, sometimes moving block by block to clear entire neighborhoods suspected of housing militants or infrastructure like tunnels. Their use allows the military to minimize direct human exposure to danger while causing effective demolitions with precision. The destruction is not solely aimed at the militants' military infrastructure, such as tunnels and command centers. It also makes vast areas uninhabitable. This has forced an unprecedented displacement of civilians, with estimates suggesting that nearly 1 million residents are being pushed southward in what effectively amounts to a mass forced migration. Uniquely, the Israeli operation includes an explicit plan to displace the civilian population of Gaza City. While past campaigns have issued evacuation warnings, the scale of this campaign's forced displacement is unprecedented. The aim appears to be to create a depopulated buffer zone or no man's land, although the limited availability of safe passage routes leaves many civilians trapped amid the fighting. The tactics employed reveal a carefully staged, phased approach. The campaign unfolds in clear phases, first encircling the city, then engaging in intense urban combat, followed by systematic clearance and eventual occupation. This approach integrates a wider array of military tools and strategies than ever before: massive airstrikes, artillery barrages, ground encirclement, demolition of buildings, and utilization of sophisticated technological devices. Such a combination and scale of tactics have neither been seen nor implemented in previous Israeli offensives in Gaza. These tunnels serve multiple purposes. They're used to move personnel, store weapons, and launch ambushes. They enable hit-and-run attacks, sniper fire, and the deployment of anti-tank missiles, all with relative impunity. Guerrilla tactics now define the battlefield. Hamas avoids direct confrontations with Israel's superior military forces, instead relying on ambushes, improvised explosive devices (IED), and targeted strikes on military vehicles to inflict damage while limiting its own exposure. In this video, we will talk about two military strategies: Israel's asymmetrical battlefield tactics and Hamas's guerrilla warfare strategy. Like, how will the IDF react to an ambush? The soldiers will disembark from the non-fighting vehicle, laying down suppressive firepower and smoke screens to conceal their movements. Gunners and soldiers outside the danger zone will identify enemy positions, provide precise suppressive fire, and aid soldiers in their assault on the objective. While Hamas will employ guerrilla warfare tactics, utilizing tunnels to target the weaker rear armor of the Merkava, specifically focusing on the doors used by infantry soldiers to enter. This rear section is notably less fortified compared to the front and sides. So stay tuned and don't miss a beat. Let's examine the distinct stages of military strategies adopted by each group. In Stage 1, Israel is faced with navigating an asymmetrical battlefield environment. Initially, the IDF will deploy several drones to survey the battlefield environment for nearly a week. These drones will identify potential targets for airstrikes, which will be executed from an F-16 fighter jet using JDAM's bombs or Joint Direct Attack munition, typically laser-guided to incapacitate or destroy suspected infrastructure. In the following Stage 2, the IDF initiates the deployment of specialized forces into Gaza. Special forces act as forward observers, communicating with the fire and command center. These highly trained soldiers are tasked with establishing longitude codes crucial for guiding the self-propelled guns or directing artillery fire. This includes the deployment of the Iron Sting shell and missiles mounted on tracked vehicles. Just like this short animation shown here, the soldier inputs precise longitude codes and loads the Iron Sting round into the launcher tube, triggering detonators upon impact with the firing pin, activating the propellant charge. More charges mean greater travel distance as the propellant launches the Iron Sting, guided by fins and sections, effectively targeting stationary structures like small bunkers. The front fuse activates the warhead, penetrating concrete layers before detonating inside reinforced bunkers in delayed mode. This is Stage 3, the most dangerous part of the battlefield, requiring regular infantry soldiers to be deployed in Namur Infantry Fighting Vehicle (IFV) can carry around 8 fully armed soldiers. This Israeli vehicle was initially based on the Merkava Mark I chassis and incorporated concepts from the Merkava Mark IV. In this animation, the Merkava tank acts as a lead vehicle while the Namur carries infantry soldiers. For now, let's take a look at how soldiers are trained and react to an ambush. As the squad conducts operations, it may encounter a near ambush while mounted. The actions taken by the squad are determined by its distance from the enemy at the time of the ambush. Step 1. Gunners in the kill zone immediately return fire and deploy vehicle smoke while moving out of danger. Step 2. Soldiers and disabled vehicles in the kill zone immediately obscure themselves from the enemy with smoke, dismount if possible, seek cover positions, and return fire. Step 3. Soldiers in the kill zone assault from the ambush and destroy the enemy firing from the buildings. Gunners and soldiers outside of the kill zone identify enemy positions, place well-aimed suppressive fire, and support soldiers assaulting the objective. Step 4. The unit leader calls for and adjusts indirect fire and requests close air support in accordance with established tactical procedures. The unit leader reports the contact to higher headquarters, conducts consolidation and reorganization, and continues the mission. We also make original engineering content, so please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos.